Hello, everybody. Welcome to another live session. And today is a fun one for me. Actually, they're all fun, but this one I think can relate to many people because in my previous session, we talked about distance. How do we get from this many miles to this many miles? And for the most part, people can struggle and get there and figure it out by applying some pressure. What I tend to find when athletes come to me for coaching, it's more on the side of I need to get to this speed, not necessarily the distance. So I wanted to continue the conversation from what we had last week about distance to how do we increase our speed? Um, how do we increase our speed? And to take us to that next level of running. Now, as usual, as you have questions, feel free to ask them and they will pop up and I will answer them as they come in, or if I don't have enough time, then what I'll do is either create a video from it or I will respond to it in a comment, or most likely I'll probably create a video on it if it hasn't been discussed here because I like to share the knowledge. If you have the question, I probably didn't answer it, or even if I did address it, maybe I didn't even address it correctly. So, having your questions helps me create new content that will help, either create something for you in the future to use, or for that matter, just for educational purposes. So, go ahead and enter your questions right now. You can go ahead and let me know where you're coming from. If you're from a different place, again, I'm here in New Hampshire, probably about an hour or so from Boston. Um, Most people are familiar with Boston rather than New Hampshire as a state, but Boston, Massachusetts is about an hour away from where I'm located here in New Hampshire. My name is Angelo, and I am a coach here at Next Level Running. And what we're looking to do here is help people get from where they are to the next level, or even to help you get started in running. And I'll talk a little bit about that later on, but just a little bit of what we're doing here. I'm actually going to start shifting gears because what I have been finding in my coaching and talking with people is our biggest thing is time. And so, what I want to do is shift our focus from long videos to shorter videos so that people can benefit from quick education. So, we'll see how that goes. So, let's get started in our conversation today, which is how to increase your speed, and of course general questions, Q&A of your running or walking. Walking to me is just as important as running, so if you have any walking questions, feel free to put those in there. Let's go with our question of the day. What is your favorite workout? What is your favorite workout? I have to say one of my most hated is probably my most favorite, and that is a tempo run. Those things kill me, but I know how good they are for me. And at the end, not during, but at the end, I always look back and say, yes, I did that workout. So I'd have to say, out of all the workouts I do, tempo running is by far my most hated, but definitely my most favorite because I get so much benefit out of that. But please go ahead and leave a comment and let me know what your favorite workout is. I'm always curious to learn more about what everybody enjoys in running. So, as I said before, what we talked about last time was moving from a certain mileage to a higher mileage and how we do that. On the upload of this video on the replay, I'll put that link in there so you can go back to that video. But it's out there under the playlist live, and it's a live video. So I did something just like this last week, and you can go view that. But I showed you how to easily, safely, and as quickly as possible move from one mileage to the other. Today, we're going to be talking about how do we get from this pace to that pace. And actually, if you think about it, it's kind of similar. But in our example, we're going to take somebody who's running 8-minute miles, and we're going to try to get them to 7-minute miles. And I'm not going to get into too many details because each individual is different. Even from the 5 miles to the 10 miles in the distance, each individual is different, and how you get there is different. And there's a lot of mental playing in there, and that's where I think coaching really comes into play. But for the purposes of this video, I'm teaching you the concept so that you can take it and apply it to your personal, I guess you could say, personal situation. So I'm kind of giving you the science. You can go ahead and take that and apply the art part of it. And for me, that's a lot of experimentation on, trying new things, because for me, this channel is all about the journey of the run, not necessarily trying to we want to get as quickly as we can to that next level, but it's the journey, it's the process of getting there and really experimenting, because you'll never know until you tweak and experiment what your true potential is. So how are we going to take our fictitious person here and move them from 8-minute miles to 10-minute miles? Well, it is pretty simple in concept. Essentially, just like distance, you can't get from here to there unless you're already progressing up there. So how can you run, if you're running 8-minute miles, and let's say you do that for 5 miles? Well, but now you want to go to 7-minute miles at those same 5 miles or 10 miles. Well, the idea is, can you even run a mile at the 7-minute pace? And if you can you run a 5K or a 10K? But it goes even deeper than that, because if you can't run a 1 mile, for instance, how are you going to run a 10K, for instance, at that same pace? But what's also interesting is that in order to keep that same level, meaning let's say you go all out and you are able to run a 7-minute mile, but now you want to take that to a 10K. Well, you need to be able to run a faster mile than 7-minute miles, because if you're going all out in 1 mile at 7 minutes, then you have the endurance part to keep that pace to get to the 10K. So what you need to do is gradually or step it up, and you have to be able to run a faster mile time than so if you want a 7-minute mile at a 10K, you have to be able to run a mile faster to get that equivalent. So, but the question really becomes, where is that fine line? And for me, the science, and this is where the science comes in, I like to break it down into thirds, meaning that if my race is a 10K, as in this example, then I want to concentrate all the way down to the mile. And I want to focus on getting my mile time at the pace that I need in order to build up to the 10K. And I'm doing things simultaneously at the same time to try to inject the endurance part and keep the, you're getting into things like lactic acid threshold, VO2 max and things like that. So there's tricks you can do to kind of keep your 10K improving while you're also working on your 1 mile. And so the idea for me when I take clients, athletes from their 1 mile time to the 10K time, I'm playing with a lot of things, but essentially, this is the gradual progress. I will have them run their 10Ks, but in there, I'm going to start injecting maybe 5K speed and gradually into the 1 mile. But when I'm doing speed workouts, I'm working on the 1 mile and going the other way. So endurance runs, I'm starting at the high level, the 10Ks, and injecting quicker things. But on the speed side, when it comes to like track workouts, I'm focused on the faster times because I'm trying to, one, create the endurance at a certain level, and at the same time create the speed at a certain level and kind of meet them in the middle. But the speed goes from trying to get my mile time to the relative time of what I want my 10K time at. So that could be different for each individual. There's a formula out there. You can go out to the internet and actually type in pace equivalents or something like that on Google, and there's resources out there for that. For me, I used the one on Runner's World, I believe, and it's based on, I forgot the guy's name, but he has a formula, and you just plop in the number, and Runner's World will pop out. If I run a 1 mile at this time, what will my 10K pace be? And those are the times that I'm playing with. And again, that's just the science. The art is actually fine tuning it to you as an individual. So now that we know what we want our paces to be, and we kind of design that whole fast sprinting track workouts, getting it to a faster pace than what I want to get to the equivalent of my 10K. And at the other end, we are trying to get our 10K down by implementing workouts that work on endurance, but throwing in faster workouts to play with different things. Here we can see that these are some different workouts you can do to do that. And base pace, and I'm going to talk about this in the next week, is that there are 7 phases, and in the base phase is where I'm working on my easy pace. So last time we talked about the distance going from 5 miles to 10 miles. So that's my build phase. And during that build phase, I'm concentrating on getting my mileage up to where I want it to be. And then I get into my base pace or base phase and working on my base pace, which means here's my easy runs. And even your easy runs need to be at a specific pace. I mean, you will never see an Olympian run 10-minute miles to train for their Olympic races in order to get to the high performance. They have to train at a certain level to condition their body. That's the same for us. So during the base phase, I'm working on my easy pace and trying to get it down to the pace that I want it to be, that I know that will be equivalent to what I need to run by my projected level of the race that I want to run, and at the level that or at the pace that I want to, my easy pace is being adjusted to that pace that I need on my easy days. So that's what the base pace is. And that's what I'm really working on in this time, is to say, let's say I want to run a 7.5 minute easy day pace. Well, if I'm at 8:30, I need to gradually bring that down. And that's what I'm focused on the base phase, is just bringing that easy pace down. So if I'm at 8-minute miles, maybe I'll run that for a week. Then the next week I'll try to, bring it down to 750 pace, see how long it takes me to adjust to that pace, and etc. all the way down to the pace that I want. Then I start injecting the rest of the stuff, and I may inject other things like tempo runs in there, but the track workouts and things, I'm not too concerned about my speed yet, because I could pull something because my body's not ready for the speed that I need it to be at in order to run the pace that I want for race time. So there are tempo runs. I'm not going to get into what a tempo run is. I actually have a video out there. I'll put it up here somewhere so that you can just click to it. But there are track workouts you can do, interval training, hill workouts. And one thing I do want to mention is power versus cadence. I put a video out there not too long ago. Again, I'll put it right up here. And it has to do with changing gears. And there's a big difference when you're training to understand what power does versus what your cadence does. Power I relate to as your stride length, how much you can push off and push your body to go over a certain distance. And your cadence is the number of repetitions your feet or how many steps you take per minute. And the idea is to use those in combination to create your speed. And understanding, especially when they say hill workouts, there's a difference between when they say, well, you're going to work on your hill workouts and you're going to build power. Well, it depends on how you run it. If you're extending your stride length and powering up the hill, sure, you're working on power. But if you shorten your stride length and increase your cadence, you're really working on more of a speed versus the power. So, and I think a lot of people get this wrong is when they try to run hills, what are they working on? If they say power, well, how do you gain power? Just naturally running up a hill? Well, and I'm getting into a very technical detail here, but there is a big difference between power and cadence and using them in combination to create the results that you're looking for. And that's pretty much it. I mean, so it's real simple to increase your pace. It's simple to talk about, it's simple to say. It's very hard work to get to where you want. So knowing the right workouts, knowing the right speeds, and what you need to accomplish the equivalent of, and being able to combine them in your workouts to actually gain the speed there's a science to it, but there's also an art. And for each person, it's different. And that's where I think it comes down to power and cadence. Some people naturally can just power through and use their legs to project forward. Other people aren't so lucky and they have to work on their cadence. Ideally, you want to work on both, but if one comes naturally, maybe you can do workouts to improve that. But overall, the same fundamentals are there. You need to be able to run an equivalent 1 mile in order to run a similar 10K. So when people tell me I want to get faster, I want to run faster. Okay, well, how fast do you want to run is my first question. And they'll tell me, okay, I want to run a 650 pace for a half marathon. Well, 650 pace, what does that even mean for your easy runs? What does that mean for your interval training? How fast do you need to run a 200? How fast do you need to run a 400 or an 800, 1 mile, a 5K? On your time trials, what should your 5K be? And when you're operating from both sides, which I suggest is on your speed and your distance speed, is to understand what those paces should be, because you want to start bridging that gap between the two of them. So you got to increase your speed, but then you also have to increase your endurance speed, right? And you can work on them both at the same time. I do suggest that your easy pace be the first thing before you inject speed. You can slowly inject the speed in there, but um, I wouldn't I wouldn't really start getting into really deep training till your base pace or your easy runs are at the pace that you need them to be. And for me, um, it's reaching a certain heart rate at that pace because I don't want to overtrain. And that's where overtraining can come in, is if you're trying to do too many things and you're overburning yourself. Um, there's a little play there that you have to understand what you can do and how far to push your body and give that rest time. So that's pretty much it in order to run faster. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. You can also contact me and reach out to me. I'll put the website where you can get information of how to reach me on any social platform for that matter. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions you have about speed. Um, if you're just starting to get into running and you just happen to be watching this, then I have a super easy beginners program that you can start, and if that's on the website, I'll put the link in the description once this is up, going live. If you're looking for coaching, please reach out to me. Um, I want to coach. I got about 9 as of this recording. I have about 9 athletes that I'm coaching, and it's been phenomenal and fun and watching them improve, or to help them get through some of the hurdles that they're going through currently, all different phases. So uh, we I'm here to help you with coaching. Soon I'm going to have a link out there to help design, so you can design your own running program, and I will walk you virtually through that. So I'm excited about putting that out soon. But next week, we are going to talk about the 7 phases of a workout. That's typically how many phases I have in a season. So I'm going to talk about what I do and how I have the 7 different phases of a season and what I do to get into that. So that's what I'm going to talk about next week on Tuesday at 12:15 p.m. New York time, or Eastern Standard Time, but New York time is probably easier. So if you plug in New York time at New York, then you can see the difference. But it will be 12:15 New York time, 12:15 p.m. So it's my lunchtime. So this is when I'm doing it. For some of you, this may be nighttime. Anyways, so yeah, so we have coaching, we have the beginners program. The beginner program is free. I have a beginner's checklist out there you can check out. I'll put all these links down below so you know what's going on as of right now, as of this recording. So again, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. I can't wait to see them and answer those questions or create new videos about them. So until next time, I'll see you then.